Hi, I'm Joe Wetzel. I'm with the McLean Project for the Arts, serving on their board and former board chair. And I'm here today with Mike McConnell, who will be exhibiting at the upcoming McLean Project for the Arts Art Fest in October. Mike is a regional artist, although I think he probably would prefer me to say that he's from Baltimore. Is that correct?
Regional is good. Yeah, I live in Phoenix, which is by Texas, Maryland. Yeah.
Okay. And Mike, this is your first time at the McLean Project for the Arts Art Fest, is that?
Oh no. Actually, I did it like 2014 and 2015, I think.
Okay.
But I stopped doing outside shows. But yeah, I'm back doing it.
We're happy to have you back again. We hope you had a good time before, and I'm sure you'll have a good time now. Mike, for those who don't know, you came to fine art through a side door. Is that a fair way of saying it? I mean, you started off your career as an illustrator, although to me it seems sort of kind of the same. You seem to make a break there, that the two are different, but I still see where you came from, and I find it pretty cool and exciting. I mean, when I look at your work, I can see your background speaking to everyone who's looking at it. Why is it that you think they were two different worlds? Am I missing something?
Well, yeah, I mean, I went to MICA, the fine arts school, to be a painter. I was educated in fine arts and printmaking and painting. But then when I got out of school, of course, you wouldn't have a job if you're educated in that. So my brother's best friend was an illustrator, so he took me under his arm, under his wing. He had a wing, and Baltimore had a whole lot of national advertising agencies at the time. So I like freelanced and did that for close to 30 years. But I always knew I'd commit myself or could be committed to fine arts at some point. Commit myself, it's probably a better way to put it, at some point. And yeah, so like 8 or 9 years ago, I just pulled the plug on the illustration and did this full time.
Well, there's a certain crispness to your application of paints that to me speaks maybe where you came from, that wouldn't necessarily be present with somebody who spent all their lives, with oils in front of them. And I think that crispness to the edges and the colors that you lay down that accounts for a lot of the vitality that I see in your work. I mean, there's no way that somebody can look at one of your pieces and not be happy that today is today.
Yeah, thanks for thanks for looking at my work. So sometimes it's hard for people to do that. But yeah, I think I regard it as happy work, and most people do. And
that's not to say that it's trite. Please don't misinterpret that. But
no.
It's more that it's full of life. There's a vibrancy to it that's just astounding.
Well, see, as an illustrator, I never had anything to put on my walls because everything was digital or went off to like print shops, and that was like kind of like my main goal was to have the stuff to put on the wall. Now I got way too much stuff, but yeah, I didn't know I was going to paint like this. I was very realistic as an illustrator. But it kind of came from a workshop I did out in Big Sur in California. And I painted with liquid acrylics. And I just kind of started doing abstract stuff. But I can't really, you can tell that I was an illustrator because I keep on putting in imagery that's kind of wants to tell a story.
Yeah, as I look at your work, there always seems to be an almost narrative. I mean, you can see a hint.
Yeah. There is.
There's enough to say.
And it's not a narrative that I see before I do the painting, because I'm just like randomly painting stuff. Like a lot of painters do this, and it's more just putting colors next to each other or lines next to each other or shapes next to each other or cutting shapes out with other paint. And then that kind of starts to suggest a story to me. And then it kind of takes off. It gets more interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm sure the story that I come up with when I look at one of your images is entirely different than the
It's
story
good.
the person beside me is coming up with, because there's not enough. It's just the hint of this or that, and maybe I put this together with that, and the person next to me has the opportunity to put two different elements from the same painting together to come up with an entirely different story. So, and I think that's what makes your work so interesting.
That's a good comment. I mean, I think everything that I do is the shapes are familiar to people, so you can kind of put your own
Just
story into
kind of
that,
maybe,
and the
Daryl.
story can change the next time you look at it.
Exactly. Mike, the not to get geeky on you, but your choice of materials is, I think, a little unique. It's not too bad of a paint. Aren't you still using some remnants from your illustration days, or am I totally misremembering that?
Oh, there was no. I just had not. No, I never used. Actually, that's the reason I went out to California to take a workshop in painting, because I hadn't painted in 30 years, and it's hard to explain. But I was intimidated about like using color paint again and mixing it and putting it on a canvas, because I hadn't done that at all for 30 years. So yeah, that. And once I got started, yeah, fortunately, I got started with like liquid acrylics. So like if anybody wants me to paints, I have plenty. I don't use them anymore.
They make good door weights. Is that what you're telling us?
I have a big box of them, yeah. So yeah, these are the kind of, you can see the paints and how I make my mess.
As you've wandered around, we've seen a wide variety of sizes.
Yeah, I do. I like I'll have stuff there like 10 by 10 to, I'll probably bring like a 48 by 60 or 2.
And so, that's not a reflective of any particular pattern. It's just what happens to you that day.
No, I work on wood panels, and so it's like my sizes are, you buy 4x8 sheets of hardwood plywood, and you cut them up, and that's kind of like how the dimensions work out. Is like that, and I like working with, like you saw upstairs. I like working on a lot of different stuff at once.
Mike, thank you so very much for taking the time to talk with us today, and I look forward to seeing you live and in person at the McLean Project for the Arts Art Fest in October, and look forward to seeing your work live and in person as well. Thanks again for all your time here.
Thanks, Joe. Looking forward to it.